Good evening, folks, and a very, very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us here on the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast. It's episode 152, our second episode for the season for this year. My name's Tonchi Prusak, and I'm your host for tonight's episode, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here with you tonight. We've got another fantastic show, as we do have every week, but tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about the indoor game, futsal. Yes, recently appointed General Manager of Geelong Futsal, Adrian Bond, will be joining us a little bit later on in the show. And on the weekend, the start of the Men's State League season got underway with no less than 8 Geelong clubs featuring in the competition. And for the first time in a long, long time, we actually have had a total of a team in each division. So one of the clubs that had a big win, probably the biggest win, without a doubt, it was the biggest win, were the Deakin Ducks, and they defeated Barwon 6-1. We're going to be joined by the captain of the Deakin Ducks, Luke Dahl, a little bit later on, and he'll give us his take on what transpired at Deakin University in Warn Ponds on the weekend. And of course, we've always got the all the latest news that's happening around the region. Some late-breaking news happening as well during the course of today. So a lot going on. Before we go on, a huge thank you to everyone at Just Turfing Instant Turf. What a catchy slogan that is. Kiss my grass. The number is 0431 571 558. For anything that you need with regards to turf installation, Just Turfing have become one of our major advertising sponsors this year, and we thank them sincerely for doing that. They were already an business advertising sponsor, and they have now increased their sponsorship, so they have become a major business advertising sponsor. We also hope to stitch up a major sponsor in the coming days, possibly maybe even week or so, and we look forward to announcing that. So thank you to everyone that has supported the show. Thank you to all the businesses that have allowed us to commence and to see out season 2025, which will in fact be our 7th season. Now, we are on the lookout for anyone who has who's got what it takes to be a presenter. I am on the lookout for a co-presenter. So if you feel that you've got what it takes to be a co-presenter on the Geelong Region Soccer Show, I guess there are two things that are prerequisites. One, you obviously have to love football and the local region, and I guess you want to have a global perspective on the sport. And secondly, also, you must be available on a Monday night at 8 o'clock to bring this show to all the viewers around the region. communitysportsmedia@gmail.com is our email address. If you are interested, please get in touch as soon as possible. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we return, it's time for the news desk. Just Turfing Instant Turf is a local family-owned and operated company which guarantees top quality products and service. Whether you need turf for a small front garden or a large landscaping project, Just Turfing Instant Turf are the turf installer experts you can trust. They supply and install for most major landscapers in Melbourne and Geelong, with a wide range of premium instant turf and a full suite of turf care products. Chloe and the team at Just Turfing are sure to have all your turf needs covered. Their Melbourne, Geelong and Victorian regional distribution means they can supply your area with fresh cut turf installed the same day, hassle-free. Turf options that are available include Eureka Kikuyu, Santa Ana, Tiff Tuff, Sir Walter Buffalo and Sir Grange. For more information, contact either Chloe on 0431 571 558 or Josh on 0457 174 111. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, and it's time for the news desk. And we'll get started with the results of the VPL games played over the weekend. So in Men's Victorian Premier League 2, it was round 7 time. And North Geelong Warriors travelled to Kim Reserve in Altona, where they took on Altona City and came away with an emphatic 4-1 win. Gus Chapman has really hit a red-hot form, scoring yet another goal for the Warriors. Cassian Angel also scoring a goal, his second in 2 weeks. Ivan Razumich and Aguer Manuel also scoring for the Warriors. Geelong travelled to Box Hill United and took on Box Hill and came away, unfortunately, with a 2-3 loss. Giovanni Colosi and Rory McKeon scoring for the Lions. The next day, on Sunday, Geelong Galaxy had a massive 7-0 win over Monash University, newly promoted Monash University to the Victorian Premier League women's competition. It was a round 2 fixture at Myers Reserve, and Diana Fresneda scored 2 goals. Olivia Hagar 2, Beth Coppe, Emily Sutcliffe, and Christy Merry also scoring. Well done to Galaxy. Fantastic achievement there. We have a look at the ladders. The men's on the left-hand side after round 7. North Geelong have jumped to 3rd spot on the competition standings. Geelong have dropped to 4th last, or 11th, and they'll have an opportunity to move up the ladder this weekend coming. Geelong Galaxy, meanwhile, after 2 rounds, find themselves in 2nd position with 4 points. Moving along to this weekend with the Victorian Premier League 2 division. Both our Geelong teams are at home. North Geelong Warriors, who are in 3rd, taking on first-placed Eltham Redbacks. That should be a fantastic game, that kicking off at 5 p.m. at Alco Park. The final home game for the Warriors at that 5 p.m. time slot before daylight savings ends Saturday week. Geelong Soccer Club, meanwhile, they'll be hosting 4th-placed Essendon Royals at Winslow Park, and that game kicks off at 6 p.m. and will be played, I guess, with the second half pretty much under lights. On Sunday, Geelong Galaxy travels to Jubilee Park for an unusually late Sunday night fixture. Now, that game kicks off at 7:15 p.m, and they will be taking on 7th-placed Ringwood City. So an unusual time to kick off, but I guess that's how it is on a Sunday evening with Victorian Premier League Women's. Okay, as we mentioned earlier, we've had quite a few games there in the State League, and we can have a look at some of those results there. In the meantime, we'll have the... We're going to show some of the footage from the Corio-Yarraville game there. And Corio ended up defeating Yarraville 2-1, goals by Cameron Lee and Dylan Moore. In State League 2, Geelong Rangers lost to Mill Park 3-1. Connor Redden scoring the only goal for the Rangers. And Diamond Valley hosted Surf Coast in State League 3, and it was a 7-2 win. With John Pikett scoring 4, Christian Mann, Jordan Savinsky and Anthony Thomas 1 apiece. In State League 4, Bell Park hosted Melbourne City, and it was a 1-1 draw with Kobe Moshogiannis scoring on debut. Deakin Ducks defeated Barwon 6-1. Sam White scored 3 goals. Luke Dahl, Jeremy Jacoby and Finley Duncan scoring 1 apiece. The only goal scorer for Barwon was Cooper McCormick. Lara United unfortunately started their season or their campaign in State 4 with a 5-0 shellacking at the hands of Melton Phoenix. And last but certainly not least, we had Ocean Grove defeating Wyndham 5-0. Julian Powell, Jack Wilson, Ollie Hunniford, Pat Scusa and Lucas Jester also scoring there for Ocean Grove. Now we've got 5-2 there for Diamond Valley against Surf Coast. That was the other way around. It should be 2-0. It was a 7-3 win, in fact. So I stand corrected on that one. Moving along to the fixtures for this week. Let's start off in State 1. Brimbank Stallions host Corio at the Club Italia Sporting Complex. in Brimbank at 3 p.m. In State 2, Geelong Rangers have their first home game of the season, and this will officially kick off their 70th anniversary celebrations. So a big day expected up at Myers Reserve. That game kicks off at 3 p.m. Surf Coast host Sebastopol Vikings in their first home game of the season in State 3 at Banyulwarri Reserve with a later kick-off time of 5 p.m. In State 4, Deakin Ducks are the only Geelong team that will be playing in Geelong. They're hosting Barnstone Worth United, and that game kicks off at 3 p.m. Just a reminder, a little bit later on in the show, we will be joined by the captain of the Deakin Ducks, Luke Dahl, and he'll be talking all things Deakin. Barwon travels to Melbourne City at Edwards Reserve. Lara United travels to Taylors Hill Recreation Reserve to take on the Western Strikers. And Bell Park travels to Webster Street Reserve to take on West Point. All of those games are at 3 p.m. And then finally, we've got Gisborne hosting Ocean Grove at Dixon Field Reserve in State 5. On the weekend, we had the penultimate round of the Masters competition, and we'll go through some. They are the ladder positions with just one more round to go, and that will culminate at Hume Reserve this Saturday, the final round of the Masters Summer League. In Division 1, or the legit Masters as it is known, Sailors Rest have opened up a 6-point lead, and they are unable to be dislodged from the top, so they have taken out the Division 1 competition. And Barwon Munich have also done the same in Division 2. They've got 6 points clear of Unatletico. But all of the action kicks off on Saturday at 12 o'clock with something that has never been done before, a women's exhibition match. That's kicking off at 12 p.m. And before the Masters finals commence at 1:30, straight after that at Hume Reserve. So if you've got nothing on this week and your team's not playing at home, get yourself down to Hume Reserve this Saturday, because it should be a fantastic afternoon and probably quite an enjoyable afternoon as well of Masters football, both in the women and the men. And speaking to some of the organisers, they hope that the women's exhibition match is so successful that it can really expand and grow next season. We hope to have someone from the Masters organising committee on the show next week as well. This weekend coming, the Barwon Heads Women's Summer Cup, the inaugural Barwon Heads Women's Summer Cup, taking place this Sunday, 30th of March, kicking off at 8 a.m. and going all the way through to 3 p.m. It'll be a girls and women's five-a-side tournament, under 11s, under 13s, under 15s, and of course the senior women. So notices have gone out to all the clubs in the region, and hopefully your team will be taking part. If not, do contact your coach in the first instance, and it might not be late to get an entry happening for this Sunday. Football Victoria, they have today announced that the 2025 Doherty Cup round 4 and 5 draws will be streamed this Tuesday, i.e. that's tomorrow. The entrance for round 4 winners from the round 3 fixtures, along with the VPL 1 and NPL men's clubs. The Geelong region has 3 clubs remaining: North Geelong, Surf Coast and Corio. And speaking of Football Victoria today, bombshell announcement that Football Victoria CEO Chris Palavanis will depart the organisation for an overseas opportunity. And until the end of the year, the acting CEO will be the head of the Football Operations Department, Dan Burrell. Okay, that seems to be like the end of the news desk. Lots happening in the news desk this week. When we return after this short ad break, we'll be catching up with the general manager, the recently appointed general manager of Geelong Futsal, Adrian Bond. Folks, don't go away. Service, food and coffee, well-stocked produce and groceries at very reasonable prices. 5 stars for the coffee served, beautifully made latte, everything you need in this wonderful little shop. Staff are always friendly and helpful, an absolute treasure to the community. These are just some of the glowing comments of praise by both regular and first-time customers of the iconic Birregurra General Store. The De Kunto family, well known in Geelong football circles, has run the iconic Country General Store since 2020, and apart from providing top quality service, they, along with their extremely pleasant and friendly staff, make sure that everything you could possibly need is well stocked and always available. Located at 59 to 61 Main Street in Birregurra and open all 7 days a week, the Birregurra General Store is open from 6am each weekday and 7am on weekends. If in Birregurra, pop in and say hello to Steve and Angus. We're coming to you from the home of Geelong Futsal, Barwon Valley Activity Centre, and with me here is a man that's really well known to the futsal community here in Geelong, and also the football community indeed, and he's the recently appointed General Manager of Geelong Futsal, Adrian Bond. Bondi, welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on, Tonchi.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Now, when I say recently appointed, you've already hit the ground hard and running, but tell us a little bit about, firstly, your involvement with football. You've played it, obviously, before, but also your previous involvement with futsal.
Yeah, so just been playing in Geelong since I was about 14 years old, so looking at 22 years experience now, and we joined here at BVAC playing indoor soccer when I was 15, and then turning 18 got into refereeing here, and then just became one of the staff and worked here for 10 years, and kind of thought that would be my career, but then ended up going to primary school teaching, but now I'm back, and yeah, loving the experience and the job so far. So
what a contrast, dealing with rabid players and spectators, and then now you're dealing with rabid kids, or maybe they're pretty good kids, eh?
They can test you sometimes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now, you did mention you worked for 10 years, so that was with the City of Greater Geelong when COG used to run futsal here before Geelong Futsal a few years back. Your involvement also included running competitions and overseeing operations and that. How did you find that? How did you find the sport at the time when it was administered by the council?
It was good. We had a lot of competitions running. I did a lot of coaching and junior programs, and absolutely loved the job. And that's kind of why I got into teaching as well, because I love just teaching the kids and getting them active, and thought, I kind of needed that career change. So went into teaching, but yeah, now I found myself back in it.
And how did that come about?
Funny story, but Andrew and Dermot, as we know, have been running the comps and
who've been on the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast in the past, yeah.
They've been travelling down from Ballarat because they're based in Ballarat, and they've been running it down here in Geelong for the past two and a half years. And I regularly play here as well with mates, and just they'd been trying to find someone they could kind of employ that would suit the role, and kind of has that rapport with players as well. And Andrew kept bugging me in the last few months of last year, and I told him, I'm a teacher now, like this isn't really what I saw myself doing as a career, but things changed, and yeah, the role has definitely been a blessing and surprise since starting in January this year.
That was going to be my next question. When did you actually start, say, in January? So obviously it's culminating now with the summer season coming to an end, and in fact this week you've got finals, semi-finals and finals happening as of this week. So thrown in at the deep end, how was it? How were the first few days or weeks, I guess? Was there a lot to take in, a lot to grasp? Or was the mechanism pretty much running itself?
It was pretty much running itself, and the role had kind of, it was like, I told Andrew actually, it was like riding a bike. I'm straight back into it. I've never, all the kind of skills and the roles and responsibilities all come back to the brain, and just got back into it straight away kind of thing. But it's obviously got the Geelong futsal spin on it now, not
Mm-hmm.
being run by council. There's a bit more administration work, and it's a bit more like the records are really tightly kept with the website, and everything kind of is done really professionally through that. And then they've got a bit of a lot of pathways available with juniors as well. So my first week I was actually up on the Gold Coast for the Gold Coast International
Yep.
futsal tournament there,
Yeah.
which is probably the biggest in Australia every year.
Yeah. The Gold Coast, he mentioned that, and that was an interesting thing about the Geelong futsal when they did take it over. Up until then, it had been pretty much a participation sport, a social sport. But Geelong futsal, since they've come into Geelong, they've made it clear that they also want to do a lot more representative football and a lot more taking, kind of almost creating an elite pathway. How's that heading? What are the plans at the moment with regards to, I don't know, rep teams, and obviously we've got state championships coming up. I think it's in April or May or thereabouts. And there are always futsal tournaments happening almost year round. So, where's that heading with your role, I guess?
Yeah, so with the Gold Coast tournament in particular, there was a all girls team that competed under 14s in that tournament, all from Geelong.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a few.
How'd they go, by the way?
They did really well. I think they ended up third of their group out of about 8 or 10 teams, and unfortunately lost in the semi-finals. But no, they had some really good close games and got a great experience out of the whole tournament. So, it's, as I said, it's one of the biggest in Australia, and just playing in the venue and playing against the quality is a massive experience for them. And a part of my role in this, taking over kind of Geelong futsal, and as general manager, I'm going to be developing like the junior side up. We've got so many adult men's teams playing here, and then we do have juniors, but they tend to be just kind of the off-season outdoor football players.
Mm-hmm.
So part of my role is to develop the junior base and have it running all year long in Geelong futsal, and just providing competitions and programs for the youth.
You mentioned the season, the summer season, and obviously now we're getting into the winter season. And usually, traditionally in Geelong, the winter season becomes basically mainly players, senior players. The juniors kind of tend to drop off and start to play outdoor football and what you're not. Is that something that you'd like to see maybe change, where kids that maybe play other sports, for example, footy or basketball, they'll be able to play futsal, even though they don't play, let's say, outdoor football? Is that something that you can see kind of a segment of maybe, where potentially the game locally could grow?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of interest from kids and the current ones that are playing. So we're going to see what kind of numbers we'll consolidate over the next couple of weeks once all the finals have wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be running a school holiday clinic 2 days here during the school holidays. And next term, I'm looking to, kind of use my teaching experience and just connections, and basically go into schools and see if we can kind of get some of those kids that aren't playing any sports as well to come down and, go through our development programs or play in the competitions.
On the weekend, speaking of the winter season coming up shortly, on the weekend, I guess registrations were launched for something that's very new and something that's probably right up my alley, unfortunately, or fortunately, Masters Winter League. We've seen the Masters Summer League at the moment, and it's reaching its crescendo, I guess, climax next weekend with the finals. But this is something that you've been working with the lads from the Masters Summer League about, a winter Masters competition. Do tell.
Yeah, definitely. This is my second season in the Masters Summer League, and absolutely love it. I've kind of, hit that 35-year-old mark, and I've got that kind of limbo period where, I want to keep playing competitively, but do I just play the Sundays because, I'm kind of getting too old for the state leagues? And since playing Master Summer League, it's definitely been a real kind of fresh air. Like, it's just absolutely amazing just turning up each week and the social aspects and just everything they're kind of working towards. Because there's a lot of support with mental health as well. And it's definitely something that I look forward to every weekend. And was thinking, in my new role, the Masters Summer League's about to finish off, and when it does finish, what's there to do for Masters players? There's not a lot of options in Geelong. A lot of players, they don't want to keep playing against young tough and chase after them in the Sunday leagues. So I thought, why not
do enough of that chasing after your kids? I think these days, but absolutely. Has there been any talk about potentially what nights those competitions could be?
Yeah, definitely looking at Thursday nights here. We've been talking to a few different teams, had some individual players already registered, had a couple of teams that would say they're keen to put in their same kind of team from Master Summer League. So hopefully, towards after this last round and the kind of finals day that they're doing, we'll get a bit more and we can offer a good competition for the Masters to keep playing together as teams, and it can build, both the teams for the competition we have here and the next Master Summer League at the end of the year.
Exciting stuff. Are there any other initiatives with regards to either women's divisions, senior men's divisions, or the junior divisions for the winter season coming up?
Yeah, we'll look to build on the numbers that we've kind of have remaining from the current Summer League season, as well as a few that are waiting to kind of join and enter the competitions and players that are looking for teams. So just, as I mentioned, through the development programs and kind of promotion I'll be doing in schools, hopefully we can offer and keep the junior side going through the winter season.
Now, I guess you've had experience working with the council, working with various infrastructure, I suppose, here in Geelong, and now in your role as general manager. And I suppose this is not something that's probably in your portfolio, but something that you can definitely kind of make an observation. Infrastructure. At the moment, Futsal Geelong operates out of Barwon Valley Activity Centre. Once upon a time, used to be at a leisure time centre as well as here. But as with a lot of other sports around town, there always seems to be just not enough pitches, not enough courts. I know in the basketball community they spoke about that in the press recently, and futsal's another one where we just seem to struggle to have enough court space. What's your opinion on all that? What's your take on all that? And would you love to see a futsal specific facility one day in Geelong?
That'd be the dream. I mean, they've had a resurfacing here on this court, and it absolutely looks amazing compared to what it used to look like when I was working here last. So, a futsal purpose stadium would be amazing. I think, as you were mentioning, like as far as providing court space, we are looking to get both centres operating again with the Summer League for the juniors. So, looking at Leisure Time Centre kind of staffing the competition there as well and offering it to the northern teams of Geelong.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Mate, I guess Football Victoria recently, or in the last few years, tried to get an F League happening, sort of like a state league competition. Doesn't seem to have been too successful. It's kind of struggled from being a 14 competition 2 years ago to what turned out to be like a mini tournament this year. But do you think that one day possibly Geelong could have a team in some sort of a statewide competition? And is there an appetite, more importantly, is there an appetite here within the football community to take futsal to a whole new level, and whether it be competition-wise or whether it be representative-wise? What's the feeling out there, or is it just happy to sort of plod along and be a kind of a recreation / participation sport?
Yeah, now for Geelong futsal, I guess that's the kind of aim, is to take it to the next level with futsal in Geelong. So there's a lot of good, senior players that do play here, and I'm not sure, or that's part of my role and part of our aim is to kind of let them, be a part of or make them aware that we want to take it to the next level and compete in these higher quality leagues, up the road in Melbourne. So whether that's something that happens with adults, but it's definitely something that we're going to push for juniors once we can build the base up.
Yep.
and offer those pathways.
Yeah. Now that sounds like a really, really exciting future, and it's certainly something that I think the Geelong football community will no doubt follow with great interest. But have you got any last words for viewers of the Geelong Region Soccer Show as General Manager of Geelong Futsal?
No, basically we're about to head into our new competition, so we've got everything to offer from competitive Division 1 to social Division 3. We're operating on five days a week at the moment, hopefully with a sixth. So if you're interested, you can pop your name down. We've got the website at geelongfutsal.com.au and just sign up as a player or a team and we can do our best to sort you out.
And if you're on Facebook, there's a Facebook page as well, Geelong Futsal. And obviously keep in touch with what's happening on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page and also on our podcast. Adrian, thanks so much for joining us on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We look forward to chatting with you in the near future.
No worries, Tonchi. It's been a pleasure, mate.
Adrian Bond, the General Manager of Geelong Futsal. We'll be back after this very, very short break and a few messages from our sponsors. You're watching the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast.
The world is yours. So work hard and you can have whatever it is you want.
And welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast. It's time for our next guest tonight. We're on the weekend, the Men's State League competition kicked off with lots of goals, some mixed fortunes, I guess, for the Geelong sides. But one of those sides did extremely well in their first game, I guess, in the higher league. Deakin Ducks got promoted to State League 4, and on the weekend, Deakin Ducks took on Barwon in a local derby and came out 6-1 winners over hapless Barwon. And to tell us a little bit more about what happened and transpired at Deakin University on Saturday afternoon, we're joined by the captain of the Deakin Ducks, Luke Dahl. Good evening, Luke. How are you? And welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer Show.
Thanks, Tonchi. Thanks for having me. It was good. It was a good weekend. So pretty happy to start off strong and get a good result.
Yeah. Now, look, let's be honest. Was it a case of Barwon was just awful? And I'm not trying to be the smart assy here or anything like that. Let's really get to the chase. Or was it just Deakin were phenomenally good? What happened there?
I think no, they're certainly not a bad squad. I think we probably the first half particularly probably had little swings in momentum. I think we just kind of backed ourselves that when Barwon got a bit of momentum, we could just kind of cushion it a bit. And we knew, I think we've had a bit of experience last year that if we can stick games out long enough, there'll be little times where we can capitalise on our chances. And we definitely did that. I think at important times. I think the second half especially, we just kind of got on little runs and scored goals quickly. So they're certainly not a horrible side, but I think we just played really well. I was really happy with how we went.
Yeah, there's some footage there that we've got of the game. Sam Wyeth scored 3 goals in the second half. Obviously, you scored 1. Jeremiah Jacoby scored 1, and new boy Finley Duncan as well. He was the first one to score the goal. That must have been there we go. Here we go. That must have been quite a thrill for him to score on debut for the Ducks.
Yeah, no, happy for him to get his goal tally started early. It was a good finish. I think he just popped up in the right spot. And it's always nice to get one early in the game like we did.
Now, obviously, the side dominated last year in State 5, did very, very well. Runner-up against the runaway champions, Lara United. What's the plan for this year? I mean, it's a high competition. Do you kind of did you go out and watch any of the State Four games last year? And where do you think? I know it's hard after one round, but where do you think Deakin will kind of fit in this year?
Yeah, we've obviously come up with against a few of those teams in previous years through State Five. Some few good sides in State Four, but I think like instinctively we kind of sometimes you think, oh, like just somewhere in the middle would be fine, but I don't really see any reason why we can't be right up there. Like I think we showed on the weekend that we're a really good side, and I think we're kind of we're up for any challenge that a team throws at us this year. So yeah, I don't see any reason why we won't be right up somewhere near the top this year, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. Um,
The world
another
is
goal there,
yours.
Quentin. Yeah. And we had an advert there, but it's an interesting discussion. Often when teams get promoted the first year, they're always going to struggle. But State Four is one of those real tough ones where there's a couple of teams that really dominate, and we know of. It's certainly the worst kept secret. There are clubs there that are spending big on players' wages and what you're not. But the rest of the teams sort of seem to be fairly even. And look, who are the teams that probably stand out? Who are you're expecting to be the toughest this year in State Four?
Yeah, I think we came up with against Melton when they were in State Five, and they were always a really good side. Yeah, definitely will be a good side. I'd assume this year as well. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's sort of hard to say. I think it'll probably take a few weeks before we know a bit more about different teams. But you're right. I think it'll be pretty even. I don't think. Yeah, I think particularly early on, I think every team's is right up for it. Um, yeah, it's probably too early to say
Yeah, absolutely.
who the real teams to beat are. But yeah, I think in the next few weeks we'll get a good gauge of that.
Yeah. Now, apart from Finley Duncan, you've had a couple of new recruits, and including one returnee appearing in that first round. Tell us a little bit about the new old players.
Yeah, so Marcus Lindenberg obviously come back. So it's awesome to have him back in the side. Yeah, just a good guy to have around the club, and yeah, we'll bring a lot regardless of whether he's playing seniors or reserves this year. So yeah, we're lucky to have him around the place. And then we've got Johnny Borgello, who started with us on the weekend, and yeah, he's a good pickup. Yeah, a guy that's just good up and down the lines. Yeah, can just back in to do a job for us.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And are there any other players there that didn't get a run in the first that have joined the team in the off season?
Yeah, there's a few. I think our Resi's team has picked up. I'd say nearly half the squad
You
is new.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had a fair few new guys show up, so I'd be struggling to name them all. But
Yeah.
I think yeah, we're lucky. We picked up a lot of good players that just add a lot of depth to the squad. I think yeah, there's a lot of guys that could definitely be getting a run in the seniors at some point during the year. So I think it's a good headache for the selectors to have, and yeah, it's exciting to see. I think both squads will be pretty strong this year, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a club. Deakin Ducks is a club that's really growing in many ways. I'm not look not it's been a powerhouse on the local scene for many years. And I guess the senior men's team have been doing really well, but the local community sides have been doing very well as well. But also the women's side of things as well. And on the weekend, and I guess this is a really good indication of there's a senior men's, but this is a really good indication of where the club's heading with as far as the women's are concerned. They took part in the Nike FC Cup, the knockout Nike FC Cup, and came up against State League One outfit Westgate and only lost by 3 goals, which is not a bad effort against you could really say a powerhouse from the Melbourne competition. They played straight after you guys on Saturday. How did that all go down? How was it a good crowd that stayed around to watch the girls afterwards?
Yeah, I had to duck off on Saturday, but by the sounds of things, a fair few were sticking around. As I was leaving, it looked like a pretty good turnout. So Yeah, unfortunately they didn't win, but I think they're a really good side, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go really well again this year. Um, yeah, no, they're an exciting side, and I think it's really good that as a club we can support, you know, all of our teams. And yeah, it's always a lot of fun. Our ladies team's a really good team and a lot of good players. So yeah, whenever we get a chance to support them, it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, and but whether it's the men's team, whether it's the women's team, or the juniors, and we'll talk about that very shortly. Thanks to Conquer, the club's kit sponsor, you've got some fantastic looking kits there. There's the home kit, and it's and there's the away kit. Tell you what, you've got professional facilities there with up at Warm Ponds with the artificial pitch there. Plus, now you've got some fantastic looking kits as well. It must be the committee must be doing something right.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think it makes a difference when you have kits like that and facilities or whatever that yeah make us look good. So I think it definitely raises the standards. And we're very lucky, I think, just to have the facilities and the opportunities we do. But yeah, you're right. The committee's obviously doing something right to kind of keep that sort of thing happening every year. Yeah, so feel very fortunate, and I know the rest of the boys appreciate it as well.
Yeah. And what about Luke? Last year you were obviously in State 5. Now you're in State 4. Let's be honest. Some of the grounds and some of the clubs that you go to don't have the luxury of, I guess, of such fantastic facilities as Deakin do. Is it hard? You train, you play on an artificial pitch, fantastic facilities, and then when you go away, you come up on some, cow paddocks, for example. Does that make it really, really hard to, to keep that consistency, or you're quite used to sort of it by now, knowing that when you travel, sometimes you're not going to get as good facilities as you do have at Warm Ponds?
Yeah, I think particularly early in the season, especially when you've done like a full pre-season on the artificial turf. I think
Yeah,
when you first go away for a few away games on grass, it's a bit tough. I always find it a bit just like your bearings are a little bit off to start with.
yeah.
I think as the season goes on, it gets a little bit easier. You kind of realise that just every surface you play on is going to be a bit different, regardless of what sort of surface you train on. So you're right, you do get a real mix, but yeah, I think it gets a bit easier as the season goes on, I feel.
Yeah. Now, this week you've got Barnstoneworth United at home, a team that's also in recent years been promoted from Division 5 to Division 4, and always a bit of a tough team. You don't really know quite what you're going to get with Barnstoneworth United. What are you expecting from that game? And that game's at home as well at 3 p.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, no, you're right. Don't know very little about them. Yeah, not really sure what to expect. It might be a good thing, I think, early in the season, particularly at home. I think we just back ourselves against any team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know very little about them, but hopefully we can kind of stick to how we want to play and get a good result again and get another one on the trot.
And that's a good point. You sort of say maybe hopefully you can play your own game. And when you do come up against a team such as Barnstoneworth United, you don't really know too much about them. You as captain, what do you try and do to the boys? At the start, do you try and settle them down and just try and feel the opposition, or from the get go, do you try and implement your own natural game style?
Yeah, I think we've obviously got our own game style in the way that we want to play, but I think particularly last year and this year, we've probably put a bit more focus on being able to adapt and
Yeah.
like identify where we need to make changes in the game. I think we did it really well on the weekend. We kind of adjusted our defensive structure a lot, and it really made a difference in the end. So I think, yeah, I definitely think that we're a team now that can adjust, and we probably don't need to be really rigid in how we prepare for the game. I think we can kind of adjust on the fly. So hopefully it's the same story on the weekend.
Now, I know you're captain of the senior men's team, but the club is growing dramatically, and I'd like to get your take on the ever-growing the juniors segment of the club, the Miniroos. And there's a flyer there where in 2025 the club hopes to have 7s, 9s, and 11s, which is quite incredible considering 2 years ago I think there was just one under 7s team. and now it's grown to at least 3 teams. And depending on over the next few weeks, enrollments and what you're not, there may well be multiple teams in some of those age groups. I mean, like I said, as captain of the senior men's team, it must really make you feel great that the club is expanding at all levels. And who knows, you might have some of those kids turning up match day and being little mascots.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I think it always adds to any club when you've got like a good juniors program. I think obviously you mentioned that we didn't have them too long ago, but I think we're pretty lucky that we've implemented it and managed to keep it going. It obviously it's a pretty big job trying to stand up a juniors program.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky, I think, to have people that are willing to volunteer and give up their time for that sort of thing. And you're right, I think as it continues to grow, it'll definitely add to our club a lot. So yeah.
Are any of the boys, any of the senior players doubling up and coaching any of these junior teams, or involved with any of the junior teams through kids or family members or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this year. There's been a couple of guys in the past that have put their hand up and helped out here and there last year, and I think probably the same story this year. So yeah, maybe not like a direct family connection to it, at least to the state league squad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think obviously as it grows more and more, I think there's going to be more opportunity for that sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully.
Awesome. And just announced today by Deakin Ducks, Curva Coaching School here in Geelong, which is a proud sponsor of our podcast. They will be coming to Deakin in term 2, apologies. And sessions are going to be held Thursdays from 5 to 6 p.m. at Deakin University at the wonderful facilities there in Warm Ponds. And it's going to be a cross-club collaboration, I guess, with Curva Coaching Geelong, an amazing development opportunity for the local kids working through the globally recognised Curva Pyramid of Play Development, which includes ball mastery, receiving and passing moves, 1v1 attack and defence, speed, finishing and group play. Now, for more information, contact Curva Direct, so curva.com.au. You can go on there or email them at geelong@curva.com.au, and there's a phone number there as well, 0423 975 569. And it was fantastic to last week have Adrian Leah from Curva Coaching Geelong on the show talking about junior development in the region. And it's great to see Deakin Ducks certainly growing as a club in that entire Warren Pond / Highton area, which has always been a bit of a vacuum. Luke, good luck for this Saturday against Barnstoneworth United. Hopefully you can repeat the 6-1 scoreline of last week. At least this week it won't be Geelong opposition, so you can go hell for leather on that. But mate, all the best for the season ahead, and we wish you and the Ducks all the best in State 4.
Awesome. Thanks, Touchy. I'll talk to you soon.
Good on you. Yeah, that you will, and I look forward to it. Luke Dahl, the coach of the senior men's team of the Deakin Ducks Football Club. Folks, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we will wrap up tonight's episode of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Don't go away. Oops, that was not the coach of the Deakin Ducks. Sam Robinson is. That was indeed the captain of the Deakin Ducks, Luke Dahl. Folks, that brings us to the end of episode 152 of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We'll be back next Monday night at 8 p.m. And until then, there's lots of football happening this weekend. Do get out and about, and hopefully your team will win. Good night, and thank you for once again. Thank you for joining the Geelong Region Soccer Show tonight.